Good morning, everybody. Nice to have you all back. Welcome back to today's session on soft skills. So, as you all can see, what do we have here? So let me just ask you a simple question. When you see pictures like this, or when you see people like this, what do you feel? How do you feel? What is your impression of them? Can you quickly type in a few responses about how you feel when you see somebody who's dressed like that, or has hair like that or like this? How do you feel when you look at them? You don't feel good, right? You think, what rowdy looking man, or what a disheveled girl, or how unkempt, or can't she comb her hair? Can't he, shave himself and look fresh? They look as if they've just come out of bed and come. But this is exactly how some people come to college or to work. And that's exactly the impression they give. Now, look at the next slide. How do you feel when you look at people like this? What is the impression you have? I'm sure if I told you that this girl comes first in class and that boy got a job recently, you will believe me, right? But if I said the same about these two people, would you believe me? Maybe they did that too. Maybe she's intelligent and she's got a rank, and maybe he's got a job. But looking at them, you will not believe me, right? Because that is your perception, that people who look like this cannot do well in life, that they cannot succeed. See how your own perception is created or just based on the looks of some person. But if I told you the same thing about these people, that they have achieved something in life, that they have done something very good, you will instantly believe me. Why? Because you have this impression that these people, because they are well groomed and well dressed, they must be really successful, that they have done something really good. So that's exactly what I want to tell you today, is that grooming and body language play a big role in how we are perceived, how the world looks at us, how the world forms an impression about us. When I look at a person in class or outside who is not dressed properly, or whose hair is all tousled, then I have a very wrong impression about them. But when I see somebody who's well dressed, even though he or she may not be that intelligent or that smart, but still I have a very good perception about them. I feel that these children can do something, that because they're well dressed, they must be having good values, good ethics, good intelligence. So what I'm trying to tell you all here is that grooming and body language play a big role in who we are. If we are perceived as good and intelligent, we always have that confidence, right? We'll have that confidence in ourselves. These people look professional, whether they could be just students or they could be working somewhere. But the look what is giving them that look? Have we talked to them? Have we said hello? Have we actually seen them in person? No, by just looking at their picture on the slide, you have decided that they look professional. So how have you decided? It's because of the dress they're wearing, the way they're looking, their face, their hands, their posture, their grooming. This is what is giving you that impression that they are professional. That's exactly what I want to tell you today, is that grooming and body language is very important for a person, especially a student like all of you who are just entering into the professional world or the college world. Whichever stream you are, doesn't matter. If you are a management student, science student, art student, accountant, computer student, doesn't matter. It all depends on how you look as a student. So this is about grooming and body language. So look at these people. Don't they all look professional? Whether it's men or women, women also, these are formal Western wear, and of course for us in India, for men, there's no Western wear and Eastern wear. They all have the same professional wear, because the general culture of the place, it has not yet gone into the way of dressing. So all men, professional men, dress like this in India. Women, the dresses could be slightly different depending on the culture. So we have saris and chudidar or shalwar kameez, which is also considered to be formal based on our culture. So what is grooming? What do we consider grooming? Grooming means, is it just wearing new clothes all the time? Is it just dressing up, in pant and shirt and tie and shoes, and is that grooming? That is grooming too, but that's a part of grooming. Grooming essentially is hygiene. So hygiene means two things: cleanliness and tidiness. What is the difference? Personal hygiene means how many times do you brush your teeth? Do you have a bath every day in the morning or in the afternoon, whatever? In places like this, we need to have a bath twice or maybe thrice a day sometimes during summer. And personal space hygiene, how you are about your personal things. Is your bag tidy? Is it clean? Are you clean? Do you come, bathed and brushed and smelling and looking good every day? And tidiness, personal tidiness. Are you, when you sit at a desk, is your desk clean? If you go into your room, is your room clean? All these things do matter because if your desk is clumsy, your mind will also be clumsy. If your room is, dirty and untidy, even you will be considered that sort of a person. Sometimes when you enter somebody's home, you see everything here and there, immediately you form an impression about those people, right? But you go into a home where everything is clean and nice and put in its place, and then you again form an impression about those people, right? The first impression could be that they are not very clean people, or that they're too busy, or they don't care about cleanliness. The second impression could be that, okay, these people are very organized, very clean. They probably pay a lot of attention to how they keep themselves. These people must be, rich and orderly and very smart. That's the impression you get about the next family. So all this depends, you haven't actually spoken to them, you've just looked at their surroundings and you form these impressions. So people, when they look at you, they form an impression. And generally they say first impressions are very, very permanent. They cannot be changed very quickly. So always try to make a good first impression, best first impression. That's what I'm trying to say. For good etiquette, so this is also a saying. I'm not saying this. This is, I picked up from someone. Probably the person who quoted this hasn't put his name to it. It's an anonymous quote. He said that, or it could be a she, good things happen to those who groom. Generally, that's what, when you see somebody, when you look at famous personalities, how does he look so good and how could he be so intelligent? It's not that he looks good, because he is intelligent, he probably looks good. Or because he looks good, he is also intelligent. So looks and how they keep them. Looks means, I don't mean beauty alone. The way you dress, the way you stand, the confidence you have, the smile, the way you wish everybody, all this comes under personality or looks, or actually grooming. So, we all are fans of some actor or actress, right? What are we fans of? It could be this, who's that? Who's that actor? All of you, I'm sure, jumping, saying Pawan Kalyan, Pawan Kalyan. So that's why are you a fan of him? Because of his style, right? You like the way he does those mannerisms and how he pulls up his shirt. So it's because of that style that you are fans of those actors. So all the, even without speaking, if Pavan Kalyan comes onto the stage, there will be people screaming his name, shouting and singing his songs. And why is that? Because he has a style for himself. Similarly, an Amitabh Bachchan has a style, a Shah Rukh Khan has a style. Why are we fans? Because their style speaks a lot about them. So even before they speak, we know their style. So what I am trying to say here is, style is a way to say who you are without having to speak. You could have your own style. So always dress well, keep it simple but significant. That could be your style. It could be a student who who always comes neatly dressed. I've seen so many students in class, they come very neatly dressed. I wouldn't say, because we all have a uniform, most of us anyway, in school. So, but wearing the same uniform, there's a difference between a person who wears a uniform one kind of way, the same uniform somebody else would wear it without ironing it, without washing it, or all crumpled, and he's just got up from bed, worn it, not combed his hair. Madam, I came in the bus. You can tell if it's wind-swept hair or uncombed hair. You can make out the difference, right? So uncombed hair, and somebody who's not, there's another student who comes neatly ironed clothes, well laced shoes, polished shoes, clean bag, and he's got probably a bindi on his forehead. He's done some puja before coming home, or at least he's put a tika. So you know that this sort of a person is a well-groomed person, and this is the person whom I'll be looking at in class, because I know that he will listen to me. The other fellow may be intelligent, but I will probably not give him more attention because I perceive him to be careless. You see how I've formed an impression? That's how people form impressions. The looks give them the first impression. So give them a good first impression, whoever it is. You'll all go to college someday, you'll all make first impressions on your teachers someday. On the day you go, or on the days you go to college, try to make a good first impression and make that impression last. So keep it simple, but keep it significant, your style. We don't have to copy Pavan Kalyan or a Mahesh Babu or anybody. Or even the actresses. We don't have to copy them. We are who we are. So keep ourselves clean, well groomed, and make a good impression. So when we say personal grooming, what are the things that come into it? Why I'm taking this class is, all of you are young students, and we get carried away by style and watching movies or all those web series that you watch. That's not life. All those serials that you watch, whether it's Hindi, Telugu, or I don't know what kind of serials, you see all these women dressed 24/7, and they're even sleeping with all their jewelry and makeup on. Does that happen in real life? No, right? Do they fight? They fight with one another, but they've got all decked up in beautiful saris and with lots of latest jewelry, and they are screaming and shouting. They're supposed to be poor, but they have the best clothes. That's not real life. Don't get carried away by that style. Don't even get carried away by the style of our film stars. That style is only for the movies, on-screen style. Personally, you look at them outside, they'll be just like you and me. Some of the actresses or actors, you will not even give a second glance if you pass them on the road. That's how simple they are. So, when we say personal grooming, what is included in personal grooming? First is face and makeup, because every time when somebody looks at you, they first look at your face. So, your face and makeup, your skin. You can tell by the skin color or the way the skin looks, how well rested you are. If you have a sleepless night, or you have watched some movies till 2 or 3 in the morning, and you sleep for 2-3 hours, and you come the next day to college, what happens? Your skin also shows that dullness. Your eyes become red, and you are not able to keep yourself awake. So what is showing on your face, on your skin, is that you are not ready for that class. Your hair, your nails, your feet also. If the feet are visible, they also tell the tale whether you are groomed properly or not. And of course, at the attire means the whole dress, not only the clothes, but all the shoes, the belt, the tie, all these come under attire. So let's go one by one and see how these are important for a student. I wouldn't say just a student, for everybody. Before we do this, let's have a small short video and let's see, and then I'll continue. వాల్యూమ్ తగ్గించొచ్చేమో మ్యూజిక్కే కదా. Okay, continue. Little more. Did you like that? I'm sure all of you did, and you must have learnt a lot about grooming and body language. Now let's go back to our slides, and we will continue. And why I showed you all that was this is about professional grooming, because you're all consider yourselves professionals as soon as you come into degree college. You're not a professional only when you join some job. Even today, consider being a college student your job. Today you're all moving so fast, right? So it's not that, you know, earlier days only when you got a job you had to look professional, but today you have to look professional even when you're in college, because you're representing an image, whichever college you're in, so you're representing the Aditya brand. When somebody sees you, they must feel that, oh, this college has got this brand. The student wears his uniform properly, has his, you know, when the name tag, always wear it with your uniform. What is a name tag? Your ID card. It's a part of your uniform. Generally, we have to tell students, where is your ID card, where is your ID card? But ID card goes along with the uniform. You have to wear your ID card when you're in college or a school, wherever you are. So let's go to the next one. 7 levels of dress code etiquette. I'll just tell you the levels because you have an awareness about what these levels are. First is semi-formal business attire. What I'm talking about is professional business attire. When I mean business, it doesn't mean just selling and buying and selling like in the markets. When I mean business, it could be any form of or sector. You could be in the pharmaceutical industry, in the IT industry, or in accounts, or wherever you are. When I'm talking about business, I'm talking about formal business attire. Okay, so semi-formal is where you could wear a shirt and without the tie, that is semi-formal. Then business casual, you know, many people go out for business lunches. They go and, you know, most important meetings take place over business lunches or business dinners. Then they don't probably go in full suit, boot and tie. They go a little more casual, that is semi-casual or business casual. And then there's another casual. Then ultra casual is, you know, casual is where you wear those t-shirts without the collar and all that. Ultra casual when you go in shorts, and that's, you know, that's one way. And creative black tie is, you have these black tie dinners, where formal dinners where you're invited, you know, at dress code generally they write the black tie dinner. That means black tie does not mean just it could be you know, that you have to wear a tie. Doesn't mean you have to be only black, but you have to wear a tie. A black tie dinner is, you know, you have these bows, you have to wear a bow and go. That is one. And then white tie dinners. These are very, very formal. When you go to meet the queen or something like that, you have to wear these. So these are different forms of professional attire. So let's go back to dressing and as a form of good manners. Don't you all agree? If you're going to meet someone and then you don't dress up well, you go to a party, like somebody's invited you to a birthday party, and you don't dress up for the party, you just go in your shorts and, you know, Hawaii slippers. Do you think you respect that person? If you respected that person, you would go in a formal, proper birthday party wear, right? Probably a pants or a nice t-shirt, a nude shirt, or an old one which looks good, and probably shoes or sandals or something. Then you're actually respecting that person. So your dressing has an impact on that person, on showing how much you respect the other person, right? Why do we wear proper formal wear for interviews? To show that we respect your company, we want to be part of your company. This is how I will be when I join your company, right? So that is why they say formal wear is very important. So what about hair and nails? We don't give a lot of importance to hair and nails, but that is the first thing that people see when they look at your face. It's not just your face, the hair, the way you wear your hair, or the, you know, the grooming of your hair matters. For men, it should be cut above collar. It should not touch the collar. And then nails should be clean. Men, boys should never have long nails. Just cut, not even half a millimeter. You know, the moment they grow up, cut it. And I see some boys having one long nail. It looks so untidy, so not professional. So if you're having that one long nail, I feel that uneducated, illiterate people have that. I see a lot of bus cleaners and people like that. We can't tell them, so it's okay. But we can tell you, you are going to be educated and professional. So don't have that one long nail, or don't, I've seen some boys paint their nails. Don't do that. That's not professional at all, especially if you're coming to college. So nails should be clean. For women, long hair should be tied up. If it's about this even shoulder length, it should be tied up with a clip and generally matching or black. Or for women, nails should be cut and clean. You could have them long, but not too long. Just half 1/4 of a centimeter or something like that. And not pointed nails, because pointed nails you could hurt someone. So this is the etiquette about grooming, about hair and nails for men and women. Now let's look at body odor, socks and shoes. Body odor is something people don't talk about, but unless you are aware of what it is, you will not know how to not have that body odor. So as human beings, all of us sweat, and especially in places like Kakinada or Rajahmundry, where there is so much humidity in the air, we are prone to sweating, right? But then we have to manage ourselves to keep the sweating at a minimum, and even if we sweat, how not to let the other person feel uncomfortable. We should not produce or make somebody uncomfortable because of our body odor. So try to use proper perspirants or have bath twice a day, always wear clean clothes. So that reduces all this body odor, especially if you were in a country like America, people are very, very particular about body odor and hair wash and all. We apply a lot of oil and go. That's not allowed in the US. US, you cannot go with oily hair. You're supposed to wash your hair daily and see that it does not smell. We are very, not very clean about, we are only clean up to certain extent. After that, some things we just say, our culture is we oil our hair daily. Okay, you oil your hair daily, but when you come out, see that it is clean and it's not smelling. So men and women, so invest in deodorants, antiperspirants, men who sweat a lot, and always wear a fresh pair of socks. This I should not be telling people, but that's the worst thing that happens when some person enters the room and suddenly the room smells of one bad odor. And sometimes some people take off their shoes, which is when they come into your house, but the moment they take off their shoes, the socks smell, and you can tell from half a kilometer away that somebody is wearing smelly socks. So that should not be everybody should not look at you the moment you enter because of your socks, dirty, smelly socks. And generally what students do is they wear their socks. If their mother or somebody has not washed them, they'll wear it tomorrow. Don't do that. Wear a clean pair of socks every day. Otherwise, because you wear them the whole day, your feet are prone to sweating, and that you may not realize it, but your friend will realize it, or the teacher who enters the class will realize it, or everybody else will realize it except you, because our nose is such that after a while it gets used to that smell. You'll say, nothing is wrong with this, but then the people beside you or who are around you will notice. So always wear a fresh pair of socks, air your shoes when not wearing them. Formal wear socks should not be short. Today there's this fashion of wearing just the socks for the soles, or socks just up to the ankle. Actually that is not professional wear. Your socks should be of that length that when you sit down, especially boys or girls who are wearing pants, when you sit down your pant moves up, right? Your skin should not be seen. It should not be visible when you're sitting down. The sock should cover that part. So they should be at least like 6 inches or 7 inches, whatever, however tall you are. So socks should be that long. Color I'll tell you later. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. Like I told you, when you look at them itself, you feel they look professional. For men, how to match pants and shirts. I'll go a little fast because we might be running short on time. So always have light colored shirt with dark pants. That's the thing to wear. Dark shirt with light pant. Those are generally preferable, but generally for professionals, light shirt is always preferred with a dark pant, because if you have a blazer, you'll have a dark blazer or black coat or dark coat. And generally the pant and shirt both should not have checks. Try to reduce checks and stripes as far as possible in formal wear. If you have to wear checks and stripes, wear thin checks and thin stripes, not bold checks and bold stripes. Those sort of stripes are not preferred. And then generally what we do is, we don't know, when we are wearing black shoes, we are wearing a brown pant, so we will pick up a brown belt. But that's not the right way. There is some etiquette or something involved in this. There are some rules, unsaid rules. Nobody will punish you for wearing a black shoes and brown tie, but they will form an image about you. So your shoes, your belt should match the color of your shoes. Preferably shoes can be, you can buy 5 belts, but you can probably buy only 1 or 2 shoes. So, and we'll have a black shoes and a brown shoe, right? Probably a tan, dark brown, light brown generally, in leather. So formal shoes are always leather shoes, not the sports shoes or the colored shoes. Leather shoes generally in beige or dark tan or brown or black. So wear the same colored belt, okay? Your belt should match your shoes. And then match the color of the socks to your trousers. Your socks should be similar color of your trousers. Now say, madam, so difficult, every day I have to buy so many pairs of, doesn't matter, but wear a black or brown or navy blue socks. They generally go with everything. Look, if you can wear a brown pant and black shoes and black socks, doesn't matter. But not white socks. White socks are only for sportswear. So do not wear white socks when you are wearing formal wear. So white socks is only for sportswear. So dark color socks preferable, match them to your pants if possible, or else wear black ones. And then don't wear too gaudy color socks also. That is when you are dressing formally. Okay, formal wear for women. I showed you some western wear for women, and these are formal wear for Indian women. This is considered formal in our country. If you are in India and you are going for an interview or you are attending college or something, when we say in college come in formal dress, or you can come in a formal dress once in a while, that is the dress we expect you to wear. Okay, not those tight jeans or jeans is not formal wear, and not those leggings and all that, not those, that is not formal wear. This is formal wear according to Indian standards, either a shalwar kameez with a chunni or a sari. This is formal wear for us. Or this, you could either come dressed like this with a long top or with a blazer or jacket dress like that. This is also acceptable in most businesses, because today there is no difference between a male and a female. You can dress, but you have to dress appropriately like this. So then now we've learnt all about dressing. Now let's look at etiquette. What is etiquette? Etiquette is good manners. Etiquette is how you behave when you are outside, how you behave with other people, what is the impression you give, how do you show your manners, your discipline, your nature. All this is etiquette. So etiquette is also your body language and your lack of personal hygiene. If you don't take a bath and you just put on yesterday's clothes and come to college, you could say that I am attending college, so I am a good person, but you are actually not having etiquette, because you have not wearing clean clothes. You are probably smelling to the person who is sitting next to you, giving a bad body odor, and you have no hygiene, so you have no respect for that class or for that institution, and so it shows your poor etiquette. So hygiene also matters when you are talking about etiquette. Be sensitive to others' reactions and at all times. Social etiquette. It's, there is something called social etiquette and business etiquette. Social etiquette is, olden days women were supposed to be delicate and soft, and they had to be treated with care. So generally when in social etiquette, you must have seen this in movies, when a woman comes to a restaurant, the man will get up and pull the chair for her to sit down. That does not mean that the woman can't pull her chair herself and sit down. It just shows good manners. There are, when somebody is walking past, you've gone through the door, you hold the door open till the next person walks past. You just don't go and let the door shut in the other person's face. That is good manners. Holding the door. When somebody is getting into a car, holding the door open, especially if it's a woman, you open the door for them to enter. It's respect, good manners, especially if that woman is older to you and higher to you in hierarchy, you do that. That is out of respect for that person. So all these are social etiquette. Earlier days in England and other places, when they see a woman, they take out their hat and bow. That is just that. It's not that the woman is, in hierarchy. Even if it's a young girl, he would take out his hat and bow. That's just being sensitive that is social etiquette. Because she's a girl, they're showing their good manners by bending in front of them. So that's good manners. What is business etiquette? Depends on power and hierarchy. That is, the person of a higher, order, or a person in a higher position, you have to respect that person. You probably have to open the car door for them, or probably keep the door open for them. So that is business etiquette. These are all small things that you should learn. How you have to wish somebody, if you're in school or college, how you have to wish your teachers, your principal, anybody who is in a higher position than you. It is good manners. It doesn't mean only them. Social etiquette dictates that you wish even your classmates. When you see somebody getting off a bus, hi, good morning, how nice that sounds, and how that person will smile and wish you back. So all this is etiquette. Said, how does etiquette help? It leaves a good first impression. It helps maintain friends and associates. It creates opportunities for advancement. It helps win businesses and makes one feel good. I think the last one is the best one. The moment you wish somebody, it makes that other person feel good. When you say good morning to someone, surely the other person will give a smile and respond back, or respond with a good morning too. So that makes him feel good and you feel good, right? So it brightens the day for everyone. So etiquette is something we can all do with. So how do you, in social interactions, how do you manage this etiquette? Introduce yourself. Generally, when we go to class, now you'll all probably be going to college someday. The first day of college, you probably don't know anybody. You'll have one friend who's joined with you. You probably will stick with that one friend the whole day. But that's not etiquette. Etiquette requires you that you meet other people, you introduce yourself to other people, you talk to other people, smile and wish them, and this is etiquette. When you're in a group, you have to say hello, hi. Not in a first day in college, maybe at a party. Try to talk to everyone. So introduce yourself. Greet people by name if you know the name. Greet people by name. Do not interrupt conversations. When somebody is speaking, it's not etiquette to go and say butt in and give your 2-piece worth. So wait till you have the opportunity to speak, and respect privacy. Converse quietly. That means do not shout. Etiquette, it requires that you do not shout. And humor is good, but humiliation is not. Sometimes we crack jokes at the expense of others. You might hurt the other person. That is not etiquette. You crack jokes on yourself. Don't humiliate someone. Okay? So that is not a part of good etiquette. Most important thing in communication is to hear what is not being said. Peter Drucker, he is actually a marketing guru. So why is body language important? Because only 7% of what we say is registered. The rest is body movements, voice, tone, modulation. That means 93% of what I am saying, you're not listening, you're just looking at what is being held and you're looking at these pictures and all. What I am saying, only 7% is registering. So that's what body language research shows. So what is body language? It is eye contact, facial expression, head position, arms position, body language, body angle, posture, hands, legs, and distance. So let's quickly go through these. So why is body language so important? Because people remember what they see than what they hear. After this class, if somebody asks you, what did madam say? You'll probably say, I don't know, but I think she was wearing a red or maroon kind of sari. That's what you'll remember, because you remember what you see rather than what you hear. That's why body language plays such an important role. And you're likely to have forgotten the words they have used, but you might retain the picture. So that is why we have pictures for you. So like I said, only 7% is through words, the rest of it is non-verbal body language, 38% plus 55%. So in body language we have three things: kinesics, proxemics and haptics. So what is kinesics? Kinesics is the gestures that we do, you know, the smile, the eye expression, the facial expression, the hand waving, the positioning of the hands, the steepling of all these are kinesics. And what is proxemics? Proxemics is the distance that we stand from one another. Today everybody is talking about social distancing. What is social distancing? It is a distance that when you are out socially, what is the distance you should maintain from another person? This has always been there, but we know of it only now. Maintain that distance. This distance is maintained in other countries when you go abroad shopping. If you go abroad to maybe Australia, America, where the population is not so much, if you go out shopping, you have to maintain this social distance. You cannot get too close to another person. They will look at you strangely if you stand if you are paying the bill and if you stand right behind that person, no, they will look at you as if, have you come from a jungle or a forest? Don't you know that you have to wait there? So that's the impression they will give, because social distancing has always been done in those countries which we do not follow. So that is proxemics, and haptics is touch. So eye contact. Eye contact is something, they say eyes are, you know, what lens to see the soul. So eye contact is very important. You know, when somebody is lying, they cannot make eye contact. Why? Your body tells you that you are lying. That's why you can't look another person in the eye. If suppose somebody asks you for money and you have 100 rupees in your pocket, but you don't want to give it to them. Arey, no yaar, I think I have, I don't think I bought money today. You will not look him in the eye and say, no, I don't have. If you really don't have, no, you look him in the eye and tell him, no, I don't have. But if you have it and you're trying to hide, you will do something like this. That is not you doing it on purpose. It's your body language. Your body cannot lie. So that is the reason, you know, you cannot lie, and there are professionals of course, but then this is the general way your body behaves. And then gestures. There are some, how you stand, how you use your hands, legs, what do you do while you're talking to someone. These are all these indicate your personality. What sort of a person, the way you stand indicates what sort of a person you are. I've seen so many people in college who will stand with their feet on the wall, you know, not minding that they will be dirtying that wall by putting their foot on that, putting their, you know, black dirty shoe on the wall. They stand like that. So when you see a person leaning on the wall and putting his own shoe there, when I see somebody like that, my impression is this boy or girl is very careless. He doesn't care about anybody else's property. He does not think of it as his own. That's why he is, you know, dirtying the place. So the posture, the way you stand tells a lot about you. You know, actually posture is not only for how you impress others, what impression you give, it's good for your health. The way you stand, if you stand like this, it is, you know, different ways of standing. There are people, not to this extent, these pictures are exaggerated a little bit, but there are people who, you know, stand with their stomach out, or who bend, who hunch. Very tall people I've seen try to disguise their tallness. They don't want to be so tall, they feel self-conscious, so they have a hunch. So this is all postures. The correct postures is when your heel, your hips and your head are in straight line. So you can check whether you have a correct posture by doing this. Put your feet about 6 inches from the wall and stand to the wall and see if everything is straight line. That is a correct posture when your shoulder, your butt and your head are in line with the wall. That means you are in a correct posture. Then all these are, the body language speaks. You can tell from all these gestures what they are thinking. Can you tell what he is feeling? I am sure you can, right? Stressed. Oh my God, I have 4 more units to go. Exam is tomorrow. How can I study? That person is feeling stressed about something else. This lady is quite happy watching something or reading a book. This man is probably thinking, right? And that woman is surprised. Maybe it could be a good surprise, or it looks like a good surprise. She's got bright eyes, so she's amazed at something. So just the pictures here tell you a lot about them. So postures even while you're sitting. So be very careful what sort of a posture you're having right now when you're sitting in front of your laptop or desktop or your phone. Do not bend over. Keep your posture perfect, because it matters a lot in the long run. Now you may not be able to realize it, but as you sit like this for 3 months or 6 months, you will have a backache or you will have a headache. I'm having a backache attending classes. It's not because of attending classes. It's because you're sitting all wrong when you're attending these classes. So your headache is also not because of the class. It's because of the way you're sitting. Probably you're sitting like this with your weight in the front. Or probably you're relaxing your head at the back of a board and relax. Nobody's watching you. But try to sit in a correct posture and you will never fall ill or fall sick. So these are professional, just I've put some postures here. When you're sitting in those 4 postures, which is the best one, do you think? Which, if they are waiting for an interview, if somebody sees them, who do you think they will select? Right? This person in the center seems most confident. This man, when you cross legs or hands, mean that you are not confident, you are trying to hide something, you are not as self-assertive as you should be. So a person who sits with his legs, both feet on the ground, with his hands in his lap, is the most confident person. Similar thing here. You can see they are listening attentively. Can you tell that they are listening attentively? See the posture, body language, the chair is there and they are bending forward. Right? What do you do when you see a climax of a movie? Hurry, yeah, end, let me see. You'll be coming forward, right? So you can't sit in your seat, you'll be bending forward. But what do you do when you're in class? Relaxed, no climax happening there. So you'll be nicely relaxed. So sit in such a way that shows your interest. You know, when you put your mind to it saying that I want to be interested in this, I want to be interested in, I have to listen to this. After 2 days, your brain will adjust and say, yeah, class, I have to listen to this. You tell your mind that, okay, doesn't matter whatever is happening, I'll just sit and relax, doesn't matter. Your brain will also adjust and say, okay, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to hear. So put your brain to this, give it this practice saying that I have to listen carefully to what is being said. So proxemics is the distance that you have from one another. Let's look at the slide about intimate is where you're touching one another, and 6 to 18 inches. The intimate space is between mother and child, siblings, young children, young friends. They always hug and are close to one another. That is in the intimate space. Then the personal space is when you are good friends with one another. You will not hug and hold somebody even if it's your friend, right? So you will have that 1.5 feet to 4 feet distance. That is personal space. Look at social distance. Social distance is 4 to 6 feet or 7 to 12 feet. That is social distancing. That is the distance they want us to keep because of corona. And that is the distance you should keep when you go out. And then public distance is 12 to 25 feet. That is when you see speakers, suppose it's whether it's a Pavan Kalyan or somebody, when he comes, he doesn't come close to you, stand and speak, right? He'll be on a stage which is 25 feet away or 30 feet away and he'll give a speech. That is public distance, and that is the distance people maintain in public. So these are just a chart of how you should, so whenever you're going in college, I have to tell people, when students want to come and ask a doubt, they'll come very close. sorry, just stand there 2 feet away and then ask your question, or 3 feet away and ask your question, because I can hear you clearly. You don't have to come so close. So that, because it's not that the student is being rude, it's just that he doesn't know that there's something called personal distance which has to be maintained in a professional environment. You're all going to go into jobs, whichever, after 2 years, 3 years. You should know that the distance you have to maintain from your colleagues, from your superiors, from the elders, and the ones that you can have. You cannot have the same distance that you have with your close friend at home. Close friend at home, you were together from lower KG, so you are holding hands and you're sticking together. You can't go, a friend you made today in office, you can't go and stick to them and sit. That is not what is etiquette. So gestures, you know that this gesture means, I don't know, I don't care. Here this gesture means, generally this gesture means all correct, but then let me tell you, gestures are different in different cultures. This could be all correct here for us, and even if somebody says, how was that ice cream? I can say super. So you will understand it. When I don't say super, I'll just show this like this, that you will understand it as fantastic, very good, amazing. And Obama also means the same thing, all correct, very good. But in French, it could mean zero. When somebody says, how was the dish? If you say this, they'll be very offended. So different cultures have different meanings. So again, thumbs up sign is a universal sign which says all is good, everything is fine. I think with gestures, all of you have these emoticons on your phone, thumbs up and all these things. So you all know more about these gestures than I do. So what does this mean? Quick question, can you answer? Can it mean, can I help? Trust me, you're in good hands, helping hand. What does this gesture mean? It actually says, trust me. Whenever somebody is opening the palms, it is a person who can be trusted. Most politicians speak like this. Why? Because an open palm position shows that I have nothing to hide, you can trust me. So that's why they use their arms like this, or like this, God shows this. All our pictures of gods have this. Why? Open palm, and you can trust me. I am there to help you, look after you. Like this means you can trust me. So 2 is the correct answer. Let me have 3 or 4. It could mean that, but first answer is trust me. Now this one. What does this mean? Is he dejected, disappointed, tired, in pain? What do you feel what do you think he is feeling? Is it 1, 2, 3 or 4? Actually, this picture actually does not show pain on his face. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it is more like the first 2. It's either dejected or disappointed. He is disappointed that the other team has scored a goal maybe. As you can see from his dress, he looks like a football player. So he is putting his head down and he is sitting on that ropes, and he is probably disappointed or dejected. That is the impression he gives. Not in pain or not tired. Next one. When somebody puts out a hand, what does that mean? Does it mean stop that, get out of here? Is it defensive or is it oppositional? What does that gesture mean? That gesture is sort of a defensive gesture. So who is an advantage in this picture? I think you can recognize Putin and our the past president, Mr. Trump. Who's in an advantage? The position of the hands, the face, the shoulders. Look, who's in a better position? Who's in a better position here? Here, as you can see, Mr. Trump seems to be in a better position. So that's all for today. I hope you understood what etiquette and good manners and grooming is all about, and hope you will all follow this all through, not just for college or for the next 2 years, but all through your life. Okay then, see you all. Goodbye. See you in the next class.